I'm standing in the emergency room at 3 a.m. and I see something that changes everything. A woman walks in, not rushed in on a stretcher, not carried by paramedics. She walks in, calm, almost embarrassed. She tells the nurse her arm feels funny, just funny. 20 minutes later, she can't speak. 30 minutes later, half her face is frozen. By morning, her entire life has changed. And the worst part? She had 3 chances to stop this. 3 warning signs her body screamed at her. But nobody ever told her what to listen for. I'm Dr. James Mitchell, and I've been a neurologist for over 40 years. What I'm about to share with you could save your life or someone you love. Because the biggest danger facing people over 60 isn't the stroke itself. It's the lies we've been told about it. If you want to protect yourself and learn the truth others won't tell you, hit that subscribe button and give this video a like. It helps us reach more people who need to hear this. Let me tell you about Linda. She was 72. Lived alone, walked her dog every single morning, made her coffee, read her paper, lived her life. Then one Tuesday she felt weird. That's the word she used. Weird. Her fingers tingled. She dropped her mug. It slipped right out of her hand, like her brain forgot how to hold it. But the feeling passed, so she cleaned up the mess and went about her day. 2 weeks later, her neighbor found her on the kitchen floor. Eyes open, conscious, but she couldn't move her right side. Couldn't speak, couldn't call for help. The doctors told her she'd had a major stroke. But here's the kicker. That tingling 2 weeks earlier, that was her first stroke. A small one. A warning. Her brain had tried to tell her, and she had no idea. That's what haunts me. Not that strokes happen, but that people ignore the signs because no one ever taught them what to look for. So today, I'm joined by my mentor and dear friend, Dr. Kenji Yamamoto, one of the world's most respected physicians on aging and brain health. Together, we're going to destroy 5 myths that are quietly stealing independence, mobility, and lives from people just like you. Because once you know the truth, you'll never ignore your body's whispers again. Let's start with the biggest lie of all, the one that's costing lives every single day. Myth number 1, strokes happen out of nowhere. You're fine 1 minute, and boom, you're down the next. No warning, no time to react, just bad luck. But here's the truth, and I need you to hear this clearly. Your body always warns you. Always. The problem is we don't recognize the warning signs, or worse, we brush them off. Dr. Yamamoto, you've seen this for decades. Tell them what most people miss. You're absolutely right, James. The body doesn't betray you. It tries to protect you, but the signals are quiet. A hand that feels weak for a few minutes. Words that come out wrong just once. Vision that blurs, then clears. Most people think I'm just tired. I didn't sleep well. I'm getting older. But these aren't signs of aging. They're mini strokes. We call them TIAs, transient ischemic attacks. They're like fire drills before the real fire starts. And here's the terrifying part. Studies show that 1 in 3 people who have a major stroke had one of these mini strokes in the 90 days before. 90 days. That means they had 3 full months to catch it. But because the symptom went away, they thought they were fine. That's the trap. When the tingling stops or the blurred vision clears, people think the danger passed. But really, it just proved your brain is at risk. Exactly. It's like an engine light in your car. It flickers on, then off. You don't ignore that, do you? You take it to a mechanic. Your brain deserves the same attention, and the science backs this up. Tokyo Medical University found that people who act on early stroke symptoms within 24 hours cut their risk of permanent damage by 70%. 70. One phone call to your doctor could change everything. So if you've ever felt something off, even for a moment, don't wait. Don't wonder. Call someone. Because the next myth we're about to break will show you that strokes aren't just about one thing. And that's where things get really interesting. Myth number 2. High blood pressure is the only thing that causes strokes. If your blood pressure is normal, you're safe. I wish that were true. But I've treated too many people with perfect blood pressure who still ended up in my emergency room. So what's really going on? Great question, James. Blood pressure is important, yes, but it's not the whole story. Think of your blood vessels like rivers. Pressure is how fast the water moves. But what if the river is full of debris? What if the water itself is too thick? It doesn't matter how fast it flows, it's still going to clog. That's what happens inside your body. Cholesterol, inflammation, dehydration, high blood sugar, all of these make your blood sticky and slow blood forms clots. Even when the pressure is totally normal. I've seen this so many times. A patient comes in, shocked, saying, "But my blood pressure was fine." And I have to explain that the stroke didn't come from force, it came from friction, from the rough, damaged walls inside their arteries. Studies show that up to 1 in 4 strokes happen in people with normal blood pressure. The real culprits? Chronic inflammation and blood sugar issues that nobody was watching. And dehydration, James. So many seniors don't drink enough water. When you're dehydrated, your blood thickens, it moves slower. Clots easier. I once treated a man who had a stroke after a long day working in his garden. No high blood pressure, just severe dehydration. His blood had turned to sludge. That's such a simple thing. Drink more water. But it can be the difference between a stroke and a normal day. And this leads us to something even more hopeful. Because even if you've had a stroke, the next myth will show you that your story isn't over. Not even close. Myth number 3. After 6 months, recovery stops. Whatever movement or speech you got back in the first half year is all you'll ever get. The brain just stops healing. If you've been told this, I'm here to tell you it's a lie, and it's a dangerous one. Dr. Yamamoto, why do people still believe this? Because old science said so. Decades ago, though, doctors thought the brain was fixed, that after a certain point, it couldn't change. But we now know that's completely false. The brain can rewire itself at any age, even in your 70s, 80s, 90s. This is called neuroplasticity. Your brain builds new pathways, it reassigns tasks, it adapts, but only if you give it the right signals. And those signals come from movement, repetition, and emotion. I had a patient, 83 years old, who couldn't use his left hand after a stroke. We started small. Every day, he folded napkins with his grandson while listening to old jazz music. He loved jazz. Within 2 months, he could button his own shirt again. That's not luck. That's the brain responding to meaning. Beautiful example. You see, the brain heals fastest when it cares, when there's purpose, joy, connection. Harvard researchers found that stroke survivors who did activities they loved, painting, gardening, cooking, recovered faster than those doing sterile therapy exercises. The emotional brain lights up the motor brain, and healing follows. So if you're watching this years after a stroke, listen carefully. It's not too late. Your brain is still listening, still learning, still capable of change. You just have to give it a reason. But recovery isn't only physical, and that's where the next myth gets really personal. Myth number 4. Stroke damage is only physical. If you can walk and talk, you're fine. But what about the invisible damage? The fear, the mood swings, the sadness that won't leave. That's what we need to talk about next. Because this is the part most doctors never mention. You're so right, James. I've seen patients recover their movement, but lose their joy. They wake up anxious, irritable, sad for no reason they can name, and they think something's wrong with them. But nothing's wrong. Their brain is healing emotionally, and that takes time too. Nearly 40% of stroke survivors experience depression or emotional instability in the first year, but most are never screened for it. Families see the tears, the frustration, the anger, and they think, why can't they just be grateful they survived? But the brain's emotional centers, the parts that regulate mood, have been disrupted. It's not attitude, it's chemistry. And here's what helps: routine, music, sunlight, gentle conversation. A study in Finland showed that stroke patients who listened to their favorite music for just 1 hour a day improved memory and mood twice as fast as those who didn't. Music rewires emotion. It reminds the brain how to feel safe again. That's incredible. So for anyone struggling emotionally after a stroke, you're not weak. You're healing, and your feelings are just as real as your physical symptoms. But now let's tackle the final myth, the one that makes people give up before they even start. Myth number 5. After 60, strokes are just part of getting old. There's nothing you can do. If this were true, I wouldn't be here. Because I've watched too many people in their 70s, 80s, even 90s completely rewrite their health. Age increases risk, yes, but it also increases wisdom. And wisdom is your greatest tool, exactly. A major study from the American Heart Association found that simple lifestyle habits, drinking water, moving gently, eating colorful foods, sleeping well, reduce stroke risk by 58%, even after 80. You don't need extreme diets, you don't need to run marathons, you just need consistency. I tell my patients, your blood vessels don't want perfection, they want rhythm. A 10-minute walk after meals, a handful of berries, a glass of water before bed. These tiny actions create massive protection. And sleep, James, that's the one people forget. Yes, less than 6 hours of sleep nearly doubles stroke risk, because deep sleep clears inflammation from the brain. It's your body's reset button. Without it, your blood thickens and your vessels stiffen. So rest isn't lazy, it's life-saving. And that brings us full circle. Remember Linda, the woman I told you about at the start? I saw her 6 months after her stroke. She was baking with her granddaughter. Her hands still shook a little, but her smile was wide. She told me, I thought my life was ending. Turns out, it was just starting over. That's the truth we want you to leave with today. Stroke prevention and recovery aren't about fighting your age. They're about working with your body, listening when it whispers, responding with care, not fear. Every myth we've broken today was really about one thing: hope. Because when hope is alive, healing follows. Your brain is still learning, still adapting, still waiting for you to give it the next signal. So give it water, give it movement, give it rest, give it joy. And most of all, give it belief. Because you're not too old, you're not too late, you're exactly where your story begins again. Thank you for watching. Now go take care of that brilliant brain of yours.